Hello everyone, welcome to Abhishek Educational Services. This is the Prelims 2020 booster course. In this course, we'll be covering the basic information with respect to each topic. We'll be also covering the section-wise current affairs from February 2019 till August 2020 for each topic. Okay. Then we will be covering the UPSC 20 years topic-wise MCQs for trend analysis so that your mind gets set into what is going to be the expectation level in the UPSC prelims exam. Now, this particular course, Prelims 2020 Booster, is a part of my personal mentoring program. Now, for all the students out there who have been studying economy from me, so for them, the economy portion of this particular course, along with added on polity portion, will be available on my YouTube channel. So keep tuned. Every day, 7 p.m., the lecture will be uploaded for all of you. Okay. But the rest of the sections will be available only to the students who are enrolled in my personal mentoring program. In case you want to, then you can email me for the same. My email ID will be displayed to you shortly. Okay. Now, in the first section that we are going to deal with is the Indian economy. So, within today's lecture, we'll be covering three basic chapters. One is the introduction, second is growth and development, and third is national income. In each chapter, we will be looking at what are the basic topics therein, and then what is the current affair from February 2019 till August 2020. And we will be also dealing with the UPSC's last 20 years question in each section. Now remember, this whole course is covering all the subjects in prelims, but on YouTube, only two sections will be available. One is Indian economy, other is Indian polity for prelims. Because I guess at least these two sections will cover a major part of you, a major chunk for you. Every year, a lot of questions have been asked from economy, a lot of them from polity. They're very scoring in prelims, and I think this will be helpful to the students. So, as far as the economy portion is concerned, for the prelims point of view, you have to study the introduction and basic concepts, growth and development, national income, monetary system, financial system, and fiscal system. These topics are the most important topics for your UPSC prelims, as most of the questions each year are asked from these topics. The other topics like agriculture, industry, services, these are mostly mains related, but for the government schemes that come in, the recent ordinances that have been coming, so these we will be definitely taking note of. Then planning, poverty and unemployment, external sector, they are also important topics, but most important here is external sector. Because over the years it has been seen that most of the UPSC prelims questions are either from these chapters or from the external sector. And these are essentially the neglected lot in prelims, but for mains, they are very important. Okay, now moving on, let's go into the trend analysis a little bit with respect to Indian economy. So, like I said, financial system last year in 2019 prelims, fiscal system, external sector, sectors of economy, infrastructure, and social sector schemes. This was the main focus area, and around 28 questions came in 2019. Previous to that, also, you can see each year 25 questions in 2018, 2017 29 questions, 2016 again 29 questions, then a mixed trend prior to that. But keeping this trend in mind, at least we can expect around 20 questions in your exam from the economy section. So I have brought in this particular economy section for you, and I hope this will be very helpful to you. The way that we are going to progress in this particular prelims booster course is that I am not going to exactly teach you the components. Okay, we are essentially going to look through the topics. It is going to be like a revision for you. The matter is definitely available with all of you. I'm sure those who are preparing for UPSC, they must have already covered these sections. I'll be giving you certain pointers. Our discussion will mostly focus upon the current affair and the questions that can come in your UPSC examination and the way they have been coming up. Okay, so just looking at the past, what were these 2019 prelims questions to set the pace for today's first lecture of this prelims 2020 booster course? So The first question that came for economy is, which of the following is not included in the assets of a commercial bank in India? Now, simply deposits. This was the answer because they are essentially liabilities, so they cannot be called as assets. So this was a very simple logic based question. So we also call it laddu question because you get to get good marks like in questions like this. Okay. Second is, the money multiplier in an economy increases with which one of the following? So increase in banking habit of the population. Essentially, as more money goes into the banks, more money multiplier can be happening based upon the reserve requirement system that we have in place. Okay, next one. What was the purpose of intercreditor agreements signed by Indian banks and financial institutions recently? Now, this is particularly a current oriented question. Okay, so the answer to this question was to aim at faster resolution of stressed assets of rupees 50 crore or more, which are under consortium lending. So this was particularly from the current affair item, and those who studied it, they were easily able to deal with it. So these kind of current affair items also we will be covering in the relevant section as they come along. Okay. Now, the chairman of public sector banks are selected by. So you remember Project Indradhanush? So under that there was a bank board bureau. So for that this came. So again this is a current affair oriented question. Then the service area approach was implemented under the purview of lead bank scheme. It is a very old scheme, 1975 sort of. Yet it is coming even till date in the examination. And as far as the banking is concerned, this is some of the important topics that we study. Okay, so I'll be pointing out to you in the relevant section as they come along. Now, next question. The Reserve Bank of India's recent directive relating to storage of payment system data, popularly known as data diktat command, the payment system providers that, so basically this is again a current affair based question. Data diktat, last year it happened in 2018 and in 2019 it was asked. So within this, the answer is A, that they shall ensure that entire data relating to the payment systems operated by them are stored in a system only in India. RBI wanted that for the purpose of data security in terms of the financial system, especially when we have come across many credit card breaches and everything last year. Okay, next one. Which one of the following is issued by the registered foreign portfolio investors to overseas investors who want to be a part of Indian stock market without registering themselves directly? So this is a very common topic that we study when we are studying the capital markets, and the answer for this particular question is participatory notes. Economy as it is a very scoring and a very easy portion in your UPSC prelims once you have prepared it thoroughly. So keep in tune. A lot of you would learn a lot of things in this course as well. Now, among the following, which one of the following is the largest exporter of rice in the world in the last 5 years? India. So this was a very simple economic survey based question. Okay. Now, some of you would be wondering that would we be including economic survey in these classes? Yes. As and where it demands, the section wise placement of economic survey information will also be integrated in this lecture while covering for the current affairs. All right. So don't worry about that as well. Now, moving on. Next question. In India, which one of the following review the independent regulators in the sectors like telecommunication, insurance, electricity, etc.? So, answer is 1 and 2. First is ad hoc committees set up by the parliaments, and second is the parliamentary department related standing committees. So, essentially, ये दोनों हैं. These are the ones who review it. Okay. This is a interdisciplinary kind of question between Indian polity when you study the departmentally related standing committees there, yeah, and economy, and this was also in news. So that is why essentially it came into prelims as well. Okay, moving on. Among the agricultural commodities imported by India, which one of the following accounts for the highest imports in terms of value in last 5 years? Again, an economic survey based, data based question. Okay, so vegetable oils was the answer for this particular year. Then consider the following statements. Most of the India's external debt is owed by the government entities. All of India's external debt is denominated in US dollar. दोनों के दोनों statement, both of them are wrong statements. So essentially external commercial borrowing is the biggest component, Okay, and not all, but a lot of debt is there in US. A majority of debt is there in US dollar, but not all of it. Okay, so that's why this particular thing was wrong. Again, this thing is out of your economic survey data. Okay, there your external commercial borrowing statistics are given from time to time. This also appears in current affairs from newspapers like Livement, Hindu Business Line. Don't worry, we'll be covering that. Okay, moving on. In the context of India, which of the following factors are the contributors to reducing the risk of a currency crisis? So, first off, the foreign currency earning of India's IT sector. Essentially, we will not have a currency crisis if we have a lot of forex. So this will definitely help. Second, increasing government expenditure. This will go out of the way because your forex may be then reducing. Okay. And moreover, if government is essentially increasing the expenditure, the rupee will go more into the market. As the rupee goes more into the market, rupee will fall down. Okay. So essentially, second statement was wrong. Remittances from Indians abroad. So foreign currency will come in here. So anytime the forex comes in to your economy, and anytime your rupee comes in to your economy, both of them are fighting against each other in terms of value. The one that is lesser in amount within the market, essentially uski value zyada hogi, it will have more value. So this is the situation here. Okay, so things where forex is getting increased supply into your market, that is good for your currency as it is, and it avoids the currency crisis. Right now in August 2020, lot of forex is coming into Indian economy, and that's why rupee is also trending upward. Anyhow, moving on. Next question. Which of the following is not the most likely measure for the government or RBI to take to stop the slide in Indian rupee? Again, another question in the exchange rate topic. We will be studying this in the monetary system. Okay, that is tomorrow's lecture. Now, the answer is following an expansionary monetary policy. Okay, so because in the expansionary monetary policy, what will happen? The rupee supply in the economy will again increase, and the thing that is in higher supply, essentially the value will decrease. Okay, so very simple relationship I teach is price is directly proportional to demand over supply. So price of currency also behave in the same way. Higher the supply of the currency in the market, lower will be the price of that currency as compared to the other currencies. Okay. Now, with reference to Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, consider the following statements. Now, such kind of institutions like AIB, then New Development Bank, and all this, they are always important because, again, they keep appearing in current affairs. So, we'll be covering these particular institutions at relevant places. Now, first off, AIB has more than 80 members. All right, that is fine. Second and third statements were wrong here. India is not the largest shareholder, and AIB has members outside Asia as well. Okay, so a very simple question on the membership was asked. So such kind of questions, Wikipedia is our best resource for all these institutions. Just study the first page and the side section which is given in Wikipedia regarding a particular institution. For example, its membership, the kind of organization it is, they are very helpful. Okay, especially the institutions like BRICS and everything that you hear daily in newspapers. Always check the Wikipedia page on that. That will be very helpful to all of you. Okay, now next one. Consider the following statements. Purchasing power parity exchange rate. Again, third question on exchange rate itself. We'll be studying that in monetary system. Don't worry. Are calculated by the prices of same basket of goods and services in different countries. This is a perfectly all right statement. In terms of PPP dollars, India is the sixth largest economy in the world. No, we are the third largest economy in the world. China is number 1, USA is number 2, and India is number 3. So therefore, answer was A. Okay, next question. The economic cost of food grain to FCI in minimum support price and bonus if any paid to the farmer plus procurement incidentals and distribution cost. So economic cost essentially is being calculated. It is a topic under agricultural marketing. Okay, so we'll be covering that under the agriculture topic. Okay, then The Global Competitiveness Report is published by World Economic Forum. Every year, they are asking now questions on one or the other report, and 99% of the time, what they are asking is who is the publisher of this particular report. Not much, just the publisher. So you must be learning at least the publisher. Okay. And only a few times you are asked the indicator based knowledge as well. Okay. So, like in the next question, which one of the following is not a sub index of the World Bank's ease of doing business index? Since they have already asked ease of doing business index in the previous years, that who created it, so they went a one step further, and in current affairs, this index is most talked about in India. Anytime government is giving any policy, they are always talking about ease of doing business. So maintenance of law and order is not a part and parcel of it. Okay, next particular question. Atal Innovation Mission is set up under Niti Aayog. So government schemes, will be covering them relevantly, but they are so exhaustive that the cost benefit analysis is not as much. So whatever government schemes appear in the budget, that they are talked about in the budget speech, or they appear again and again in the current affairs. For example, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which has completed 6 years, So these kind of schemes we'll be looking into. In each scheme, like I said, often we have to be dealing with a few things. What is the scheme? Then the ministry in charge, ministry or the department which is in charge of that scheme. When was it launched? Okay, then we have to be dealing with the objectives of that scheme. Then you must deal with the target audience or the target group for which the benefit of that particular scheme is going to come. Within this target group, if there is a particular reservation or there is a particular specialization given, like for SC, ST, women, rural, farmer, laborers, any kind of such specialization given. So you must take a look into that also. Now, doing such a laborious task for one or two questions, it's never a cost benefit analysis. So please take it with a pinch of salt that we'll be covering only a few schemes, and whatever has been relevantly given in budget or current affair, they are coming again and again, only those, because 100% coverage is not possible here and you should not be looking for it also. Okay, then consider of the following statements. So according to Indian Patents Act, a biological process to create a seed can be patented in India. So nothing like that. Okay, in India, there is no intellectual property appellate board. Why not? We have intellectual property rights system and the whole thing is in place. Then plant varieties are not eligible to be patented in India. That is perfectly fine. So essentially answer is 3. This will be covering in the TRIPS agreement when we talk about intellectual property rights in the external sector. Within external sector, there is a topic World Trade Organization. Within that TRIPS, and within that what all patents related issues are going on, that's where you study it. Okay, moving on. Next one. As per the Industrial Employment Standing Order Central Amendment Rules 2018, again current affairs question. Okay, if the rules for fixed term employment are implemented, it becomes easier for the firms and companies to lay off workers. No notice of termination of employment shall be necessary in case of temporary workmen. Both are correct. This was in news a lot of times and it was debated in most of the editorials. That's why it's here. Okay, so that's how you come to know what kind of questions are to be asked. Then, with reference to India's 5-year plans, which of the following statement is correct? Even today, planning as a topic survives. Yeah, although 5-year plans we are done away with. Now, from the second 5-year plan, there was a determined thrust towards substitution of basic and capital goods industry. That's perfectly fine. Mahalanobis model, you study it all the time. Fourth 5-year plan adopted the objective of correcting the earlier trend of increased concentration of wealth and economic power. Yes, that's also a fact, especially the DPSP's Articles 39B and C. They were the focus areas here, avoiding concentration of wealth. Then, in the fifth 5-year plan, for the first time, the financial sector was included as the integral part of the plan. Nothing like that. Financial sector has to be the part and parcel from day one itself. But anyhow, this is not the right statement. So answer is A. Next one. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017? So only the third statement, women with two children gets reduced entitlements. So that particular statement is incorrect here. Rest of the statement, that particular statement is correct here. Rest of the statements are incorrect. Again, it is a scheme kind of a thing, Maternity Benefit Act 2017. So they are part and parcel of current affair. You have to study all the nitty gritties like we talked about earlier as well. Okay, then next one. Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board is the first regulatory board set up by the Government of India. There have been many. Then, one of the tasks of this board is to ensure competitiveness in the markets of gas. Appeals against the decision of PNGRB go before the Appellate Tribunal of Electricity. These last two statements are correct. First one is wrong. There have been many regulatory boards set up earlier also. This again is a current affair based question. This year again, they have set up new boards, new institutions. We'll be looking at them at relevant sections. Okay. Now, moving on. Consider the following statements. Coal sector was nationalized by the government of India under Indira Gandhi. Perfectly fine. Now coal blocks are allocated on lottery basis. Nothing like that. This is a current affair based question. In 2018, they created a proper system for coal block allocation. That's why this particular MCQ has come in the paper. Till recently, India imported coal to meet the shortages of domestic supply, but now India is self-sufficient in coal production. Nothing of the sort. Essentially, we are still dependent upon imported coal. In your thermal power plants, at least 65% carbon-based coal has to be there. In India, the type of coal that we have has 40% carbon content. So we import the coal with 90% carbon content generally from Australia, and then we mix them, and then we reach this particular figure, and then we can use it in the thermal power plants. All right. So this was the particular issue behind it. Most of you might already know it. So answer to this particular question is one only. Now, moving on. With reference to management of minor minerals in India, consider the following statements. So sand is a minor mineral according to the prevailing law in the country. Perfectly fine. State governments have the power to grant mining leases for minor minerals, but powers regarding the formation of rules related to the grant of minor minerals lie with the center government. Nothing of the sort. This is also with the state governments itself. Mining mafia in Punjab is very, very famous. Yeah. So similar kind of question is asked. This was there in current affairs. Many a time this is talked about, especially the sand and everything. Okay. Then state governments have the power to frame rules to prevent illegal mining of minor minerals, like from riverbeds and all it is done. So yes, definitely that can be done. So if you have been following news even on Punjab, you'd be able to find it because this is generally there in the current affairs. Okay. Now, answer for this question is therefore 1 and 3. Moving on, next question. In a given year in India, official poverty lines are higher in some states than in the other states because price levels vary from state to state. So this is essentially out of the topic poverty and unemployment, and essentially you must be knowing the Tendulkar methodology for calculation of poverty lines. Yeah, so accordingly we'll be dealing with it in the poverty section. Then, in the context of any country, which one of the following would be considered as a part of its social capital? That is the level of mutual trust and harmony in the society. So this social capital as a concept, it has been studied in the basic when you study growth and development. That's where you study it. In the NCRT also it is there. In the news also it is talked about in current affairs. Yeah. In human geography also you study about this topic. So many places you will find the definition of social capital, and it's the level of mutual trust and harmony in the society. So many questions. Now we start with the indexation and recall for our first chapter, that is introduction and some basic concepts. Now, I'll be not teaching you all these concepts. I'll be just outlining. We'll be discussing things which are in the current affairs section. On these topics, I'll be just giving you a heads up that you must study them if you haven't. Okay. The best source for covering these topics, let me tell you, if you are a beginner, so this is NCRT plus 1, you must read it full. NCRT plus 2, macroeconomics, only the macroeconomics. Okay, in this particular book you must go through chapters 2, 3, 5 and 6 with a pinch of salt. Why? Because chapters like national income and the methodology therein has been changed. Okay, so we'll be covering that in particular this particular lecture. Okay, so a little bit of extra information is also there. A lot of technical informations are there, you can skip that, but the general information you must know, especially with respect to the topics that we have highlighted here. Third book that you can study is Ramesh Singh. So 12th edition of this particular book is already available in the market. So for these topics, if you have not made any notes, so you can refer this particular book for the topics. The only issue with this topic is with this book is the flow of topics in the way they are given. So therefore, just follow the flow from these particular lectures that I'm discussing with you, and you can refer Ramesh Singh definitely for the content part. The content part is sufficient. Otherwise, everything is available online. Just give a Google search, copy and paste from these particular things, and you will find it. As far as the presentation to this lecture that I'm using is concerned, that will be given in the description of this particular video itself, so you can download it from there. Okay, a link will be available. Also, the link is available on my website, that is civilservicesonline.com. Now, moving on. So first off, what is economics? What is economy? So types of economics, the micro and the macro. Types of economy. So we cover it on the basis of level of development, and we cover it on the basis of your economic system or the ideology on which the economy is functioning. Capitalist, socialist or mixed. India, as you know, is a mixed economy. Yeah. We also call these economic system in the format of market, non-market and mixed. So that is another way of studying the same thing. Okay, again, based on level of development, like I said, there will be two formats, developed and developing. One more thing that you must add, the World Bank's division of economies in the lower income economy, then lower middle income economy and high income economy. What are the income parameters for this particular year 2019-20? Every year they keep changing, but at least you must know for the lower middle income, because India belongs to the lower middle income economies. Okay, now as far as the economic systems are concerned, so this is a basic slide which you can use for recalling the things very easily. Okay, like I said, this is not to be used as a lecture. We'll not be discussing the basic parts. I am firmly of belief that all my students who have been preparing for UPSC for all this long, they already know all the basic topics. So I'll not be wasting their time in this particular lectures. Only the current affair portions wherever relevant we'll be discussing, and I will be highlighting the basic concepts that you must go through. Okay, for most of the concepts you already must have made notes and you can study it from there itself. Okay, and what we'll be focusing is on current affairs. What we'll be focusing is upon the prelims MCQs. They are the most important to set your mind perfectly in place for giving the prelims 2020 paper. Okay, now again I have given you the slide with respect to the features of capitalism, socialism and mixed economy. Just go through that once. Then the basic concepts of economy. So you must be remembering demand and demand curve, supply and supply curve, equilibrium. So you know this kind of a figure we used to draw. Yeah, there is a supply curve, there is a demand curve, and this particular point is the equilibrium where demand is equal to supply. You already know this. Then opportunity cost, very important. It's the second best alternative foregone. Then advantage, absolute and comparative. So absolute advantage कब होता है? When does it happen? So for a particular activity, when you are doing it best as compared to anybody else with most efficiency. So with respect to activity, remember that. So then that is absolute advantage. Okay, you are doing it better than anyone else. When you are doing a particular activity better than other activities, then it is a comparative advantage. Remember that. Okay, because I clarified because this is mostly a confused thing. Then elasticity. So there is price elasticity and there is employment elasticity. It is essentially a flexibility concept. Okay, so most of you know it. Then stock and flow. So again, this I can cover for you. So refer to a quantity or of a commodity measured at a point of time. So whenever you are measuring something at a point of time, it is stock. So in macroeconomics, money supply, foreign exchange reserve, capital, unemployment level, they are all measured at a point of time. Then they are called stock. Flow, these are the variables that are measured over a period of time. For example, investment, import, export, national income. So over a period of time, like over 1 year, over 2 months, over 3 months, that's why we call them flow concepts. You already might have known that. Then now, Indian economy's sectors. So we got primary like agriculture, secondary like industry, tertiary like services. Within tertiary, these are the two parts, quaternary and quinary. Quaternary are essentially knowledge-based services. Yes, for example, a doctor, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, they need to have a certain knowledge and a certain degree, only then they can offer those services. Quinary activities are essentially the high-end services like the CEOs, like the R&D scientists, like senior bureaucrats. So they are a part and parcel of quinary activities. They are involved in interpretation, generation, or utilization of new and existing information. Remember that. Okay, not given in most of the books. Now, next, organized sector, unorganized sector on the basis of condition of work and on the basis of asset ownership. There is public sector and private sector. If more than 50% assets are owned by government, we call it public sector. Otherwise, we can call it private sector. Now, the share of these particular sectors towards GDP is what we call as structure of the economy. Yeah. So that is tertiary for India is more than secondary, is more than primary. This is the kind of situation right now. Then sectors by share of working force. This is what we call as occupational structure of the economy. So primary has the most people, then followed by tertiary, then followed by secondary. These particular figures you might have studied differently, so they keep changing from time to time. Don't worry, just remember the order. You need not remember the percentage. Okay. Now, some add-ons for the prelims 2020 that have been appearing in current affairs for this particular section. First is a pink collar worker. So you generally might have studied about it. Anyhow, let's discuss it. Just take 1 minute. So a pink collar worker is usually a woman. Men rarely work in pink collar job. That doesn't mean they don't. Okay. Some examples of pink collar workers are like babysitters, florists, daycare workers, nurses. Yeah. So today, women have more opportunities in traditionally male white collar jobs as well, and men work in traditionally female pink collar workers as well. So there is no particular restriction that pink collar workers cannot be men. This can be the way in which prelims question can be framed for you. Okay, be very, very careful. Then another add-on, sunrise industry. So this has been a particular term coming up in news. So you must know that sunrise industry is a term used for sector that is just in its infancy but shows promise of a rapid boom or growth. So एकदम से growth आने के chance हैं. ठीक, the industry is typically characterized by high growth rates, high degree of innovation, and generally has a plenty of public awareness about the sectors, and investors get attracted to it for long-term growth prospects. In India, what are the sunrise industries? So it is information technology, it is the telecom sector, it is the healthcare, infrastructure, retail sector, food processing industry, and fisheries. Okay, then Prelims 2020 add-on for Nobel Prize in Economics. Now, this has been there. In 2019, the Indian American economist Abhijit Banerjee has won 2019 Nobel Prize in Economics. In each subject, you must know that, okay? Along with Esther Duflo, so she's also his wife, of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Michael Kremer of Harvard University. For what they have got the Nobel Prize? So they've got it for their experimental approach to alleviating global poverty, their new experimental based approach called randomized controlled trial. So this is the experimental approach has transformed developmental economics. RCT, that is randomized controlled trial, breaks larger questions about policy intervention into smaller ones which are easier for testing the studies. So that is basically the Nobel Prize for Economics. You must remember the names of the people who got it. You must remember the RCT and what is essentially RCT for your prelims questions. Okay. Next, we can now head to the indexation and recall of your Indian economy chapter 2, that is growth and development. Now, in growth and development, you must know factors of growth. So that is growth rate, savings, investment, marketable surplus of agriculture, and foreign trade. Within growth rate, there is a particular formula that growth rate is equal to rate of capital formation divided by incremental capital output ratio. When we are covering the UPSC prelims last year 20 years questions, you would come to know that twice the question has come on just this formula. Yeah. So I am presuming that you already know what is rate of capital formation and what is ICOR. Essentially, still, I'll just take 1 minute to tell you what is all this. So this is essentially the rate of investment in the economy. Okay. And the ICOR, there is a very simple thing. So it is capital plus x divided by output plus 1. What does it mean? So for one extra unit of output, how much extra capital do you need? That is ICOR. And it basically reflects the efficiency in the economy. In India, the ICOR has been changing in this kind of a fashion. So in the first 5-year plan, our ICOR was around 2.4. In the fifth 5-year plan, it became around 6.7. So the economy was about inefficient. And in the end of the 12th 5-year plan, the ICOR for Indian economy is around 4.1. So right now, whenever you talk about growth rate, so if India needs a 9% growth rate, then your ICOR already stands at 4. So your rate of investment should be somewhere near 36%. That's how it goes. Okay. So we'll be seeing how the questions also come on it. Don't worry. Now, another prelims add-on is Kuznets curve. So this is a graph which gives the hypothesis that as an economy develops, market forces first increase and then decrease economic inequality. This hypothesis was first advanced by Simon Kuznets. So essentially, if you talk about it, let's just see. I would need another ink. So we can divide this particular map into this way. So as the economies are progressing, so here it might be an agrarian kind of an economy. Here it might be an industrial growth model, and here it might be a post-industrial kind of a society or economy. So then that's how the inequality will reduce over a period of time. So this is Simon Kuznets curve. Okay, now moving on. Another thing that has been coming in news over and over again, this is gig economy. So what is this gig economy? So it is a temporary flexible jobs are commonplace, so people don't go for work full time, they just take up here and there jobs for a part time kind of a thing, and companies tend towards hiring independent contractors and freelancers instead of full time employees. Okay, so those people are working in gig economy, which are not full-time employees. They are like freelancers or independent contractors. The draft code on social security 2019, so that's why it has been in current affairs, very important, has proposed that the center may formulate a social security scheme for gig workers, because essentially at times they might get work, at times they might not get work, so therefore there has to be some social security cover for them also. Now, such schemes would encompass issues like life and disability cover, health and maternity benefits, old age protection, and any other benefit as may be determined by central government. So, what is this code on Social Security 2019? What does it propose for gig economy? What kind of schemes should be coming in? These are the things that you must learn for your prelims MCQs. Okay. Another very important topic in this particular aspect or this particular chapter is inclusive growth. So you must have already read about it. So it's a growth that creates employment opportunities and helps in reducing poverty. A very simple definition. What are the elements of inclusive growth? Many times asked in prelims: skill development, financial inclusion, technological advancement, economic growth, and social development. Must know for prelims. Very direct question can be asked as to which of the following can lead to inclusive growth? Such questions have already been asked in prelims in this and that fashion. Okay. Now, next, measuring the inclusive growth. So these are some of the very recent current affair oriented kind of indices that have been coming in news. Okay. So about these indices, like I said, you must know at least these four things about a particular index when it comes along. Okay. The first is Inclusive Development Index. It is given by World Economic Forum. The growth and development, inclusion and intergenerational equity and sustainability. So they are the indicators, and prelims based another info is that India ranked 62nd out of 74 emerging countries here. So our rank is not very good at the Inclusive Development Index. Okay. Next is Social Progress Index. So it's a non-profit social progress imperative that has formed this particular index. Okay. So again, its indicators are basic human needs, foundation of well-being and opportunity. This is based on the writings of Amartya Sen, Douglas North and Joseph Stiglitz. Okay, a bit of a tongue twister there. Global Slavery Index. So it is given by Walk Free Foundation of Australia, and these are the indicators: absence of rights, lack of physical safety, access to necessities, and pattern of migration. These are some of the new indices which have been emerging in current affairs for inclusive growth, and you must keep them in your memory for your prelims examination. Now, what are the measures taken by India to achieve inclusive growth? Now comes the government schemes. Like I said, you have to be covering certain aspects in these government schemes. I'll be just highlighting them. जो आपको पढ़नी चाहिए online, a lot of information is given on them, so you can just chalk out this much information. It will be good enough. You must know the objective of the scheme. You must know when it was launched. You must know the ministry or department which is concerned with it. Then you must know what is the target group for which is it meant, and within the target group, if there is any sensitive group, any special group, any special reference. Okay, so that must be taken into consideration. Okay, these are the schemes that you must go through. They are on your screen. You must know them. All right, so no need to read them out even, so just look through them. Okay. Now, another prelims add-on for growth and development chapter is the social stock exchange. Now, in the budget 2019-2020, the previous budget, this was talked about, but it has not been asked in last year's exam, so it is still important for this year's exam. So, the finance minister proposed a social stock exchange under the regulatory ambit of SEBI to support social enterprises and non-profits for raising funds. In COVID time, this has been a good endeavor. Okay, so it will act as a crowdsourcing platform, so many people can come together and fund. So for fundraising by non-profit entities aimed at impact investment and transparency. Now, after this particular announcement was made, what is the current affair that has happened till date? So following this announcement, an expert panel was set up in September 2019 under Mr. Ishat Hussain. The panel released its comprehensive report on 1st of June 2020. Most of you must have skipped it. Okay. And this report sets out the structure of the social stock exchange in India, recommending that it may be housed under the existing national exchange, that is Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. So that's where the social stock exchange will be housed. That means placed. Okay. Now, within this report, the proposed avenues and mechanisms for fundraising are, so for NPOs, that is not for profit organization, if there is one. Okay, so for them, they have given zero coupon, zero principal bond. This is one of the ways they can raise fund. Then there is social venture funds, that is a category 1 alternative investment fund. Then there are mutual funds and pay for success model. You must remember the names of these for MCQ. Okay. Then for profit social enterprises. So for them, there are equity listings and social venture funds. So these are the ways they can raise funds at the social stock exchange. Okay. For two different kind of institutions, there are different kinds of mechanism through which they can raising funds in the capital market. All right, you must remember them. Then, now moving on to the development part. Out of the growth part, now inclusive growth and then development. So, What are the factors for economic development? So there is political stability, macroeconomic stability, level of infrastructure, natural resources, educational standards, saving rates and foreign aid, and any kind of barriers to trade if there are. So these are the factors you must remember. A very simple MCQ can be there in your prelims. Have a look at it, okay, and cram it to your memory. Now, I have given you a collection of reports which have been in news, and these reports are essentially for gauging the development in India. Now, like I said, in each report, you must know that who is the publisher, when does it come, what are the indicators, and if there is any India related aspect to it. So just go through all these reports. Like I said again, I'm repeating, this particular presentation will be available to all of you in the description, okay, of this particular video. So right on the top, a link will be there. So from that link, you can download this particular presentation and study it, make it a part of your notes, okay. Now I have given all the current affair based indices also, like the World Happiness Report 2020. It's an annual report given by the Sustainable Development Solution Network of the UN, okay. And what is the theme for the 2020 report is environment for happiness, okay. Then what are the parameters for this particular thing, and what is India's ranking? So we are at 144th rank, and it's a 2020 report, very important for your prelims, okay. Similarly, global migration report, it is published by International Organization for Migration, and India had the largest number of migrants living abroad. This is one of the key takeaways from this report, okay. Then multi-dimensional poverty index, twice it has been asked in UPSC, okay. For once they have asked who created it, so Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, and right now what is India's situation with respect to it, you must know, okay. The 2020 report is yet to come. Then the global health security index, and of course the India SDG index score of the states. So we stand at 60 with respect to the sustainable development goals. Must remember the 17 sustainable development goals, at least give them one reading before going into your prelims. Now, in the growth and development topic, what are the questions that have been asked in UPSC in 2000 to 2018 period? So almost 19 years we'll be covering here, and the 2019 year we have already covered. So we are looking at 20 years of MCQs in a sectional wise, topic wise manner. You must get a fair understanding of what is asked there for. Okay, now let's look at them. So the first question is from year 2000. So boom, what is it? Recession, what it is? Depression, recovery. All the answers are very direct. Answer here is A. One more thing, while this particular video is being premiered, I'm there with you live, okay, in the chat. So you can tell me the answer to these questions by typing A, B, C, or D as you feel what should be the answer. So let me also know how many of you are properly prepared for this, okay. Now, next question. India's Human Development Report does not give for each sample village which of the following. So tell me, what is your answer? So you see, in the Human Development Report, we talk about the per capita income, the life expectancy, and educational achievement. So from that perspective, if we look at it, so infrastructure and amenities index is not a part and parcel of it. Okay. There is a logical way of dealing with these questions, even if you don't know the exact thing, but you have studied about the reports, then you can easily deal with them. Okay. Now, consider the following statements. Infant mortality rates takes into account the death of infants within a month after the birth. Is it month or is it year? It's an year. Now, infant mortality rate is the number of infant deaths in a particular year per 1000 live births during that year, not 100. So the answer is neither 1 nor 2. Next question. India is regarded as a country with demographic dividend. This is due to high population in the age group of 15 to 64 years. See, this demographic dividend is again a very important topic in the growth and development aspect. Generally, they asked about this particular age aspect only. Okay. And what is this demographic dividend? How can it be earned? You already have studied it in your economy classes. Now, moving ahead. Which of the following can aid in furthering government's objectives in inclusive growth? So, promoting self-help groups, promoting micro, small and medium enterprises, implementing right to education. All of them can definitely be a part and parcel of inclusive growth. So answer is D. Like I said, in economy, the questions are very easy. It's a very scoring subject. Do study it carefully. You will definitely clear your prelims. Now, next, Karl Marx explained the process of class struggle with the help of which one of the following? So, it was dialectical materialism. We all know about it. We studied NCRTs. That's where it's coming from. Next, with reference to Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, consider the following statements. Now, again, the Bima Yojana. So, you see the type of question. They say the members insured like this, the member insured must be like this, there is a provision for scholarship. So, again, within the schemes, what they ask is the beneficiaries and the objectives or the ministries or departments. These are the things that they are most concerned with. So that's what you have to study in these schemes. Okay, this is the answer I would expect from you. Then consider the following specific stages of demographic transition associated with the economic development. So which will come first that we have to give, and then which will come last that we have to give. That's the order. Okay, so first off, there will be high birth rate and high death rate. So this limits us to B and D. Then the next one, high birth rate with low death rate. So then 2 के बाद 3 आएगा. So that's why we are coming to C. And last one will be obviously low birth rate with low death rate. So our answer therefore is C. Okay. Next one. To obtain full benefits of demographic dividend. Again, demographic dividend. Very easy questions are asked though. You can do them from your general understanding. What should India do? So we should promote skill development. Very easy. Because once the people are skilled, they will definitely create a dividend for the economy. They will be adding to the monetary value somewhere, and then the GDP will go up. Yeah. Okay. Economic growth of the country X will necessarily have to occur if there is capital formation in X. Remember the formula? Growth rate is equal to rate of capital formation divided by ICOR. So if this is there, the economic growth rate will definitely happen. Okay. Of course, ICOR is a thing to be considered, but that does not change very fast. Okay. Now, if the interest rate is decreased in an economy, it will lead to what? So interest rate being decreased, what is happening? The investment expenditure can go up, because then it will not make any point to keep your money in a saving account. It will be better if you put it into some investment, because then the growth rate can definitely create more money for your investment as compared to the interest rate that is the saving account. Okay, as is the situation always in India since the last 10-15 years, as we have seen. Okay, with reference to National Infrastructure Investment Fund, consider the following. So it is an organ of Niti Aayog, nothing like that. This is a current affair based question. Okay, this is essentially a category 2 alternative investment fund. Okay, so it is not a part and parcel of Niti Aayog. Moreover, it has a corpus of 40,000 crore rupees, not 4 lakh crore rupees. The government budget as it is around 27 lakh crore rupees or 28 lakh crore rupees, in these days when this fund was being made. And if 4 lakh crore is one particular corpus like this, then you can imagine the kind of discrepancy that is there in the data. So it was 40,000 crore rupees. This is a very peculiar kind of question that came for the first time in UPSC, where it is wanting you to check whether it is 4 lakh crore or 40,000 crore. Be very careful. UPSC is becoming more and more tricky every day. Which of the following are the objectives of National Nutrition Mission? Again, another scheme is there. Okay. Now, in such kind of schemes also in objectives, what they're asking is which of them is correct. Now, an incorrect statement can be very easily identified. You see, to promote the consumption of millets, coarse cereals, and unpolished rice. By unpolished rice is a kind of a luxury product, you know. And in the National Nutrition Mission, even if you're eating polished rice or unpolished rice, it doesn't matter much. So statement number 3 was wrong, and based on that itself, this goes and this goes. Now remains your this particular sections, and that's how you can deal with this kind of scheme based questions. Again, another scheme, Vidyanjali Yojana. Okay, now don't think that they have come in 1 year. It's like one scheme per year, or sometimes maximum 2 schemes per year. Don't make your life hell by studying all the schemes that are given by the government. They are to be read, but the ones that I will be pointing out, if you just go through them properly, like I have told you, that would be sufficient for you. Okay, so moving on, National Skill Qualification Framework. So under NSQF, a learner can acquire certification of competency only through formal learning. No, even informal learning can be there. An outcome expected out of implementation of NSQF is the mobility between vocational and general education. So herein second statement is correct while the first statement is wrong. So therefore your answer becomes B. Okay, next one. Increase in absolute and per capita real GNP do not connote higher level of economic development if, so what is there? Poverty and unemployment increase. You see the development quotient, what is this? So development is when we say there is a simultaneous progressive change in both social and economic indicators. All these three are economic indicators. This is essentially a social indicator. So when you look at it, it's very easy to identify if you know the definition of development. Development is what? It is essentially a transition from a stage of inability to a stage of ability. Yeah. So if you are having a higher amount of poverty, higher amount of unemployment, you're not getting here at the level of social inability, economic inability, political inability to ability. Not happening for you if poverty and unemployment are increasing. Moving on. Next one. So consider the following statements. Human capital formation as a concept is better explained in terms of a process which enables so individuals of a country to accumulate more capital. No, that is not that. It's only money related things. Increasing knowledge and skill levels and capacities of people of the country. Yes. Accumulation of tangible wealth. No, it is same as one. Accumulation of intangible wealth. Yes. So therefore the answer for our question is C, 2 and 4. Next one. Third chapter now we come to, that is national income. I want to cover the whole economy for you in about 7 lectures. So that's why these lectures are meant that you have to have used the little amount of time as possible and cover as maximum things as possible, because we don't have many days. The whole prelims 2020 booster course is planned for 30 days. So by 30th of September maximum, you should all be done with all the sections which are there in prelims in a similar fashion as we are covering economy. Okay. Now, national income. So you know some of the basic things. How and where it is calculated is National Account Statistics. The body responsible is NSO. Remember this, that in 2019, CSO and NSSO, these came together to form National Statistical Office. And now your national income accounting is given by NSO. Be very careful. Okay. Now, what is this NSO methodology for calculation of national income? You must know that also. Okay. A real national income, NNP at factor cost at constant price. That's how you study it. What is the change right now? What is the current affair aspect since 2015, where we are? You should know that. Then what is the official GDP of India? So GDP at constant market prices. Okay. Then GDP, NDP, GNP, constant prices, current prices, base year, GVA, factor cost, basic price, market price, all these things you must study for your prelims from your basic notes. They are given very well in the chapter in the your +2 macroeconomics book. Okay, but take it with a pinch of salt. Things that you have to be covering, which have changed in that NCRT book now. So we'll be discussing those things. Okay, first off, the National Account Statistics base year revision. So that took place and in 2015. Okay, and since then the question has not yet been asked, but however the base year for economy has been asked earlier also. It is 2011-12, not yet changed again. Okay, now while rebasing the NAS to the new series, the recommendations of United Nations System of National Accounts 2008 were implemented using the available data. The recommendations included valuation of gross value added, net value added, and related aggregates at basic prices, GDP at market prices, and estimation by institutional sectors. So this is how we measure the India's national income today. Now, in addition, the new series utilized the new data sources which had become available, like the corporate sector data from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MC21 database. MCA simply means Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So this particular database is having enlarged coverage of financial sector and incorporating results of the latest survey on consumption, employment and enterprise. It's more micro in approach. It covers more space. So that's what's the important part here. Okay. Now GDP calculation in India, how is it done? Right now, the GDP, which gives the economic output from the consumer side, so it is the sum of private consumption. So we know C plus G plus I plus X minus M. You all know this formula. That's what's been talked about here. Okay. So this is again the same version that is given. Now in 2015, CSO, back in the day it was called Central Statistic Office. Now it is called NSO. So did away with GDP at factor cost and adopted the international practice, that is GDP at market price and the gross value addition measures for better estimation of economic activity. The GDP at market price is equal to GDP at factor cost plus indirect taxes minus subsidies. Okay, so you already have learned about this from me in the classes. It's the same thing. Now GVA is a measure of total output and income in the economy. It provides the rupee value for the number of goods and services produced in an economy. Why am I stressing upon this? Because in this chapter, time and again, they will be asking you the definition of national income. Okay, as we will be doing the MCQs in the last 20 years, what have come, you will actively come to realize this. Okay, now it also gives sector specific picture like the growth in area, industry, or particular sector of the economy. At macro level, from a national accounting perspective, GVA is the sum of country's GDP and net subsidies and taxes in the economy. So it is GVA is equal to GDP plus subsidies on products minus taxes on products. So essentially, you must remember the relationship between the GVA and GDP as well. Okay, fine. Moving on, or you can also just simply write this can be given like this also. GVA is equal to GDP minus net indirect taxes. This way also it can be asked in your prelims. Right. Now what is the comparison between GVA and GDP? You can go through that and read. Now the thing that has coming in news is 2017-18 an appropriate base year. So for there was an advisory committee which was established for discussing this in 2019-20, and that has recommended against 2017-18 be the new base year, and they are continuing with 2011-12 as the base year. Even C Rangarajan, the former RBI governor, also thinks that this will be wrong because there will be an impact of demonetization, remember 2016, and GST 2017, which will essentially lower the economic activity in this particular base year. And in then comparing this base year with today, the economic growth will seem to be higher. So that's why this is not an appropriate base year for India to be going on with. That's why we are sticking to the 2011-12 base year. Okay. Now, what are the prelims questions which I have been asked in the last 19 years here in this particular section, that is national income? Now, like I said, time and again they will be asking you on the definition part. What is GDP? What is GNP? What is NNP? What is national income? What is real national income? So these are the questions they ask mostly from this section, not how much percentage it is there, whether Indian economy has contracted by minus 4.5%. These are the things that you should ignore. Okay, definitely there is a contraction in the Indian economy because of the COVID crisis. You all know about it. The government is crying about it every day. But remember, UPSC has till date not asked what is the growth rate of Indian economy. Okay, so they have always focused upon definitions. Let's look into what have the questions which have been asked till date. So the most appropriate measure of economic growth is the GDP, NDP, NNP, or per capita income. I'm there with you live in this chat, so you can answer it and let's see if you know it. So the answer to this particular question is C, that is NNP. Then the growth rate of per capita income at current prices is higher than that of per capita income at constant prices because the latter takes into account the increase in price levels. Very simple. The term national income represents, so we must study about it. So we know national income is in the form of NNP. The very first thing, GNP at market prices minus depreciation. So that will give you NNP. So that's your answer, A. Next one. Which one of the following is the correct sequence in decreasing order of contribution of different sectors to the GDP of India? These are the kind of questions that we call laddu questions. Now we already know tertiary is more than secondary is more than primary for India. Yeah. So just look at it. Services, industry, agriculture. A is the answer. Now, next one. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. GDP has increased 4 times in last 10 years. फिर तो मोदी जी को भी मजे ही आ जाते हैं इस तरह की प्रेजेंटेशन देने में, है ना? So nothing like that. It is a wrong statement. The percentage share of public sector in GDP has declined in last 10 years. This is okay because we are mostly moving towards disinvestment. So B is the answer. In context of Indian economy, consider the following pairs. So meltdown, recession, slowdown. This is just a terminology matching that you have to do. Meltdown is fall in stock prices. This is perfectly all right. Recession is essentially fall in GDP. Slowdown is fall in growth rate. So these two are mixed up. So therefore answer is A, one only. Next one. The national income of a country for a given period is equal to, so money value of all the final goods and services produced. Remember GDP's definition, monetary value of goods and services produced within a country within a year. So that's where it comes from. Then, with reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. The rate of growth of real GDP has steadily. Whenever this word comes, steadily, most of the time it will be a wrong statement. If you just apply a little logic, you will come to understand that. Yeah. The GDP at market prices in rupee has steadily increased. So again, this is a wrong statement. Okay. None of these trends are steady. They all go like this. We know that. Yeah. Now, therefore, the answer to this question is neither one nor two. Some watchwords are there in economy. Steadily is one of them. Next one. Despite being a high saving economy, capital formation may not result in significant increase in output due to, याद कीजिए formula, growth rate is equal to rate of capital formation divided by incremental capital output ratio. So here it is. If your capital output ratio is high, so your economy will be inefficient. So despite rate of capital formation, the growth rate may not be significantly increasing. That's how this question was asked. So now, this brings us to the conclusion of today's lecture. So if you want to join my personal online mentoring program, that's where this full course will also be available. Like I said, for general students who are not a part of my personal mentoring program, for them only economy and polity will be available. Okay. For the students who have enrolled in this program, for them the whole section will be available to them. Okay. What are the features of this personal mentoring program? So you can get help as per your individual needs in UPSC examination. What I have come to understand is each one of you has a different kind of trouble in UPSC. Some of you have trouble in answer writing, some of you have trouble in a particular chapter or a particular component. You don't need to be attending the full length batches. What I know and what I understand is most of the students who clear UPSC, they are good at self study. They just need basic mentorship and guidance. So stop wasting your time. This is the way you can clear UPSC very easily. You just need basic mentoring and guidance, and there will be daily monitoring of their workflow for discipline basis, weekly online lectures in a one-to-one live format with me. It is not like we are doing it in a full batch kind of a way, okay, in this personal mentoring program. That's why it is personal. And there will be a comprehensive prelims revision course that is being done right now. And for the students, it will be fully available, like I said. Then there is weekly mains answer writing and systematic evaluation, review, and improvement in one-to-one live sessions. So whatever answers you submit to me, we'll be checking them one-to-one, and that's how we'll be doing it. Then there will be essay writing classes, which will be given only to my students. Some of those classes, like the basic of essay writing and the one of the examples of the essay writing class that we did, is available on the YouTube channel. You can also go through them. So we are focusing on writing 2 essay topics per month, and that should open your hand well in essays as well. So these are the particular things that we do in our personal mentoring program. Only 30 students I'll be handling in this personal mentoring program because I need to be giving at least 2 hours per week to each student. Okay, so this is the amount of hours I can dedicatedly give. Okay, if you want to join, you can call me or you can email me and we can get in touch. Thank you so much for being a part and parcel of this Prelims 2020 booster course. I'll be bringing more lectures every day. So 7 p.m. is the time we'll be airing these lectures. They will be put on premiere every day and you can all be a part and parcel of it. Thank you for watching. All the best for your prelims examination. This is me, Abhishek Sharma, signing off.